Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. Tony, it was an incredible Super Bowl. What are you going to remember the most?
I'm Tony Kornheiser, and what I'll remember the most is that in the rare case that Cialis gives me a 4-hour erection, I should seek medical help immediately.
I'm talking about the Super Bowl. What are you talking about?
Had you watched it on TV and seen that commercial, you would never forget it. 4 hours, baby.
You need to go to the game, not watch it on TV.
4 hours, a lifetime. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Wilbon and I yap about the Lingerie Bowl, a dancing streaker, Janet Jackson's right breast, and a flatulent horse.
The NFL would be upset with us at this point.
Possible. We start, obviously, though, with the game on Sunday. I believe I had the winner correctly. Did you, Wilbon?
Nah.
I believe I had the MVP correctly. Did you, Wilbon?
I don't know.
What I didn't have correctly was that these two defensive teams would roll up 61 points in total, 37 points in the fourth quarter alone. Started out 95% defense, ended up 95% offense. You were there, Wilbon. It did not go according to script, did it?
No, it didn't, and Super Bowls rarely do. Whether they are games that we think are going to be close to the blowouts, whether they're games that we think are going to be wide open, that are closer to the vest. No, it didn't go according to script, but I tell you what. All you knuckleheads who kept saying, it's a bad Super Bowl week, there are no stars, why you didn't in Houston all week, blah, 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 blah.
It turned out,
remember the game.
It turned out to be a great game.
Yeah.
And after the first quarter and a half, it looked like the worst game of all time. Delhomme 1 for 9 with 1 yard at that point. Then he throws 300 yards up on the board.
Yeah.
Brady threw the second half. Those were two of the best quarterback performances we will ever see. Two plays stand out to me. One, 3rd and 10 on their own 15.
Yep.
Carolina goes deep for the touchdown because that game's over if they have to punt there. And the other thing, the 2-point conversion by New England, the quick direct snap to Falk, and he goes in. Fooled everybody in America.
Well, they made two great plays, and again underscores really the brilliance. I don't want to use genius, the brilliance of the New England coaching staff, starting with Belichick, Weiss, Cornell, blah, blah, blah. But Tony, also, and we'll get to in a second, the kick out of bounds. There's some defining plays, and there's several of them. I mean, you think, okay, this is the defining play. I remember writing that about the direct snap by Kevin Falk in for the 2 points.
But then they come right back and score.
The decision to go for 2 in the first place. I mean, there are about a half dozen plays you can look at and frame the game around them.
So now you're willing to concede that when you thought that that computer game would decide the score, you're going to bag that from now on,
8
right?
for 8.
Well, now
you know
8-4-9.
And let me repeat.
8-4-9.
I picked Carolina to win 21-20, so I thought there would be some scoring. And at 22-21, I looked pretty good, and they just kept going.
The over-under number, I believe, was 37. They had 37 in the fourth quarter alone.
Adam Vinatieri made the 41-yard field goal to win the game. So he must be the hero, right? John Casey's kickoff out of bounds gave the Patriots the ball at the 40, which gave Tom Brady a short field. So Casey has to be the GOAT, right? Tony, in an airtight game where every special teams play is monumental. Are you comfortable with these labels?
Casey's mistake was terrible, and it gave Brady enough time, and it gave him field position, and he had 3 times out, and so that was terrible. Is Vinatieri the hero? He missed too early. I mean, he has the game winner. I think he may be the greatest clutch field goal kicker of all time in big games. Is he the hero? In a 32-29 game, it's hard to point to one guy.
You know what he said, which I found fascinating at the end? He said this is still the toughest kick he's ever made in his career. It wasn't the one to win the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
It had to be the snow kick to tie the game.
It wasn't yesterday. It was the snow kick to tie the Raiders game to get them on in the playoffs.
Look at the body of work that Vinatieri has put together already in playoff circumstances.
I'll tell you what, Carolina deserves a lot of credit for making him miss, for forcing him wide with pressure up the middle on the first kick, and for blocking the second kick. And you're sitting there going, wow. That's amazing that this clutch guy's getting blocked like that.
For weeks now, Michael, I've been telling you I thought Tom Brady was MVP of the whole league.
Here we go.
But he did get MVP of the Super Bowl. He went 32 of 48 for 354 yards and 3 touchdowns. Mike, I know you have resisted all the comparisons to Joe Montana.
Yep.
But let me quote the first sentence in your Washington Post column today, which you can hear, which I have right here. Maybe Tom Brady really is Joe Montana in training. So go ahead, big boy, capitulate.
Hey, Tom, I'm not going to capitulate. You have to see it. It has to play out. You don't get advanced credit in sports. The credit comes from proving yourself on the field of play. This guy did it in a second time in 3 seasons. He was not the MVP of the regular season. He was the MVP in something more important, which was the Super Bowl.
Here's what he is now. He's 28-4 in games that he started after November 1st. He's 6-0 in playoff games. And he made a terrible mistake throwing a pick in the end zone.
That's one mistake.
A terrible mistake. And when Carolina came back and scored, he then came back led his team to a touchdown, then led them to the winning field goal. So when it looked bad for him, he got even better. I mean, when you see him back there, this is what's amazing. He's a sixth-round pick. That means everybody, including New England, passed on him 5 times.
Here's what he also is. It's more impressive. He's 26 years old. He didn't turn 27 until like August. He's got 2 Super Bowl rings, Tony. And now,
tough to get
I believe he's playing with house money. Yeah. But he doesn't have the pressure of saying, like, remember how Marino and now Mickelson, you get so far down the road and people start asking you, are you going to be able to win one?
He's not going to have that.
He's so far beyond that. The moment Carolina tied the game 29-all with 68 seconds to play, those of us covering the game started frantically trying to figure out where Super Bowl 38 ranked on the list of all-time great Super Bowls. It had everything a game could have. Great defense early, spectacular passing, 2 comebacks, and a buzzer-beater ending. Tony, where does yesterday's game rank for you?
It ranks #1 for me, and do you know why?
Why?
Because I had HD TV. I bought the set, I got the converter box, I was able to see the game in HD. Big plug for HD TV.
And you got cable coming into your TV, so it's not even working right.
You were at the game. I've been to over 20...
regular gas in a Maserati. It's stupid.
I've been to over 20 Super Bowls, but I watched this one on TV. It's a little different. When you're there, you're caught up in the excitement.
Yeah.
But I stayed up till the end. You know me. That's an hour and a half past my bedtime. I think it's probably in the top 5. Is it #1? Now, that Montana game against
Montana Boomer?
Yeah, that's got to be
Montana going down the field at the end. That's #1 for me. I think that the Titans-Rams is #2 for me. I think this could be #3.
The game where Denver beat Green Bay and Elway had to hurdle for the first down, because that moment alone, it seemed to me, made that one worthy. There was a Dallas-Pittsburgh Super Bowl, 35-31.
But had it gone into overtime,
then it would be
the only Super Bowl with overtime,
that probably
might have vaulted it.
In fact, the most buzz today has nothing to do with the Super Bowl that we have just been talking about. It has to do with the exposing of Janet Jackson's right breast by that stooge, Justin Timberlake, during the halftime show.
Stooge.
Timberlake called this, quote, a wardrobe malfunction. MTV said, wink, wink, it was unrehearsed and unplanned. The NFL is upset, CBS is upset, the FCC is upset, my dog Maggie is upset, the entire population of Yemen is probably upset. Wilbon, are you upset?
I'm upset that I was in the press box and not down on the field where I could get the bird's eye view of it. No, I'm not upset at all. This is insane. Of course, Janet Jackson knew, Justin Timberlake knew, MTV knew, they all knew. What is MTV's biggest moment of the year?
It's the kissing with Madonna and Britney.
Yes, they knew. They talked about it on the website. They predicted it.
What about the kids? What are we going to tell the kids?
Well, here's what I would tell the kids, Tony. I'm happy to tell any kids this. Kid, that's a breast. And if you are cool enough, long enough, and you get to 17, 18, 19 years old, hopefully you'll see more of them. If this is supposed to be some firestorm now, I don't see
I think there's a couple interesting things to point out. In the last 10 or 12 years, most of the motion pictures that won the Academy Award showed a lot more skin than that, including Shakespeare in Love, for example, which, you know, everybody said was such a wonderful movie. I watched this yesterday, even on the HD, and I'm not sure I saw it. I watched Timberlake reach over and pull something from the costume, but then the flares went off, then the whole thing went black, and I called somebody and said, did you see it? Did I miss? I wasn't sure.
I was looking at it again. You know where press box seats are. It's a great seat for a football game. Not a seat for something tight shot that's happening. You can't see that. I walked downstairs. There are 1,000 reporters around Justin Timberlake. Of course, I stopped, veered off to see Beyonce a little closer up.
By the way,
I didn't know what happened until I got downstairs.
I didn't like the halftime show at all, but Beyonce didn't take off her clothes while she sang the national anthem. No. She gave a real good rendition. That halftime show was not aimed at people like me, not white people over 40.
I like Janet Jackson. Anytime I can see Janet Jackson, I didn't know I see that much of her.
Why do you think they call it the boob tube on TV? We're taking a break. When we come back, why did John Fox go for 2 with so much time left in the game? And later, we'll give you a view of the streaker that you didn't see during the game.
By the way, it's Miss Jackson if you're nasty. You know that? You don't know that lyric?
No, I don't.
Pardon the interruption. Presented by Guinness Draft Stout. Drink responsibly. Brilliant. And in part by Denny's. Head over to Denny's for their French Toast Slam, just $4.99.
On Friday, Ron Jaworski said the first team to 20 points would win the Super Bowl, that the Patriots would be that team, and that the Panthers would lose by 3. Jaws joins us now. 3 for 3, Jaws.
You should have been in Vegas, big boy.
Big ups to Jaws. How do you account for that?
Yeah, Tony, I did not think it would be 32 to 29. I didn't think it would go that high. I thought 20 would be the number that would win the football game. And I got to tell you, I was very impressed with Carolina in the football game. There were many times that game they could have folded their tents and packed it in. They were very resilient. They kept coming back. But I think it just showed the depth of the New England team to hold on and win the football game.
Jaws, how did it go from all defense to all offense? And then it went back. I mean, this game had such runs. It was like a basketball game. What happened?
Mike, it was like a boxing match. You know, that first quarter and a half, I think both teams were just feeling each other out. You know, they were seeing what teams were doing defensively, offensively, trying to find that weakness. And I actually think once they found out what the coverage schemes were, or what the fronts were, the offenses were able to attack. And I thought Dan Henning did a real nice job with Jake Delhomme in that game. You know, he finally opened it up, went to the speed offense, went to no huddle. You know, early in the game, I thought Jake was thinking too much. Once he began to react and play the game, they started moving the football. And then you look at Tom Brady and Charlie Weiss's offense. He just knows how to manage the game very well and find the open receiver. He was magnificent.
Jaws, I thought there's very little you can find wrong with the coaching on either side in that game. But there's one thing I want to ask you about. I thought it was a big tactical error for John Fox to go for that two-point conversion with 12:46 left in the game and set just a bad course for Carolina. What did you think of him going for 2 there?
Yeah, I thought it was premature to go for 2 points. I believe you only go for 2 when you have to go for 2. There was too much time left in the football game, but it was a gut reaction by John Fox, and he has coached his football team that way all season long. Sometimes he goes against the book, and he's very successful. That play, that decision did not cost Carolina the football game.
Well, let me ask you about something that may have cost Carolina the football game, and that was Casey's kick out of bounds, which gave New England the ball on the 40, and Brady still had 3 timeouts. Is Casey the GOAT in the locker room? I mean, how do you kick it out of bounds there?
Well, kicking the ball out of bounds, Tony, in that situation is inexcusable. It just can't happen. With that ball going out of bounds, it automatically gave New England, Tom Brady, and that offense tremendous momentum when they came on the field. They knew that they only had about 35 yards to go to set up a field goal from Adam Vinatieri. And I also think it put a little dagger in the heart of the Carolina defense, knowing that, hey, they really didn't have a little margin for error where they could give up one play. Clearly, that kick going out of bounds, you can't have it in that situation of the game.
Jaws, was so pivotal. Troy Brown said when he saw the kick go out of bounds, he was stunned because they hadn't done anything in terms of kick return all day against Carolina, and they figured at that point they had to win a game.
Yeah, and you also have to put the trust in your coverage teams. And then there's no question that, you know, they have the ability to cover. Carolina does have very good coverage teams. It was just an inexcusable kick that probably did cost, you know, the football game to the Carolina Panthers.
All right, Jaws, you were a quarterback, I believe, for about 18 years in the National Football League. Where, after watching Brady all season, Super Bowl, 2 Super Bowls in 3 years, where do you put him?
Are you talking about Tom Brady?
I'm ignoring this guy behind me, Jaws.
All right.
Where do you put Brady now in sort of the quarterbacks of all time, or at least in the Super Bowl era?
Well, certainly, you know, he belongs up with the elite. You know, very few quarterbacks have won 2 Super Bowls and have gotten 2 MVPs. Tom Brady is one of them, and clearly, in a very short career, a guy at 26 years old has already had the pleasure of hoisting the Vince Lombardi trophy twice, winning 2 Super Bowls. I mean, he's off to a tremendous start. I know a lot of people compare him to Joe Montana. In style of play, I compare him to Troy Aikman and Dan Marino. He's in that timing and rhythm offense, and he has a great clock in his head, but he's got Marino-like movement in the pocket. He moves to find receivers and does a terrific job doing that.
There is this need, I think we all have as sports writers or commentators, to talk about where things rank historically. You look at the Patriots now, to me, 2 Super Bowl wins in 3 years is a great accomplishment, but it is essentially the same team. I don't know that I put them all the way up in the pantheon with the greatest teams of all time, but I wonder if you do.
Yeah, not yet, Tony. I believe there comes a time this team will be, because you look at their draft coming up. They've got 7 picks in the first 4 rounds, 2 number 1s, 2 number 2s. They're going to add talent to an already talented team.
Thank you, Jaws, and congratulations on 3 for 3.
Cha-ching for Jaws.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Ron Jaworski, boys and girls. We're taking a break, but when we come back, if you were watching Janet's boob, we'll give you a taste of what you missed during the Lingerie Bowl. And since when is a flatulent horse good family television? Huh?
Return to the Lingerie Bowl, you were dope. You could have gotten it free on network television.
Mail Time is brought to you by MSN Instant Messenger. How can the butterfly help you? Find out at msn.com.
Needless to say, 97% of the email revolves around Janet Jackson's right breast, as apparently does a stainless steel ring in the shape of the sun. We did get a few other emails, and let's get the first one, Michael.
Mail time! Maybe the next first email is about the left breast. Aren't you disappointed that CBS decided to show close-ups of Teddy Bruschi instead of the third quarter streaker?
I am, and that's why we're going to show it to you right now. There he is. Look at that fat dope. I know a lot of people say don't show these
watch
things.
The shot. Out of bounds.
Boom!
I
love it when they're blindsided. A lot of people say don't show this stuff because it'll encourage other dopes to do it, and I say that's okay. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me.
It's okay if other dopes do it.
I don't care. And they get, boom, blindsided.
But that wasn't a hard enough hit. See, people will come on to the field if they think they can be in the telecast and only take a shot that hard. What I'd like to see
they were not on the telecast.
A beatdown.
CBS did not show them, and in fact only barely alluded to it. Phil Simms only barely alluded to it.
Showing Teddy Bruschi,
get it barely.
Showing the stupid shots of the owners all the time in their boxes.
Barely, he said.
Shots.
How about asking Warren Sapp now what he thinks of the New England Patriots offensive line? 0 sacks given up in the playoffs and Super Bowl. I want that overrated and over-the-hill big mouth prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Who's that? Did you write that email?
No, I did not.
Sapp was wrong.
Yeah.
But you know what? Sapp provided the only entertainment of the week. You talked about the starless Super Bowl week.
Yeah.
It was starless except for Belichick and Brady. And the fun was, it was fun for media, fun for everybody except those players in Hoxie who had no fun with this, who appears to have no sense of humor. Sapp gave it a moment. Sapp gave it a hook.
Okay,
but
zero sacks throughout the whole playoffs against great defenses. So, I mean, Brady gets some credit because he intuitively, he knows when to get rid of the ball. But that offensive line is absolutely in sync with what he needs to do. I tried to make that
point to you last week. You told me it was all Brady. The offensive line was great.
I didn't say it was all Brady.
Weeks in a row.
I didn't say
offensive line.
I didn't say it was all Brady. Come on.
Which
Sapp's
commercial?
Wrong in this.
Yeah. Which commercial was most painful? The horse fart or hearing about the 4-hour, is it Cialis erection? Cialis?
I hated the flatulent horse thing.
Let me preface by saying I don't watch TV. I go to Super Bowl.
That's
I don't know what this is.
That's fine. But a lot of people watch TV at the Super Bowl.
That's nasty.
I didn't like that. Seinfeld did it much better. But the Cialis thing, here's what they say. Seinfeld had a horse thing with Kramer that was much funnier. The Cialis thing, they actually say to you, it doesn't happen often. But if your erection lasts for 4 hours, call your doctor. Call your doctor.
You better be in front of the doctor.
Call your girlfriend. Call the Rockettes. Call Ron Jeremy. This is unbelievable.
I don't think you want
4 hours. What are we talking about here?
You need to go to the games again. I don't know what you're talking about.
It gives a whole new meaning to a 4-hour layover in Seattle. A whole new meaning. Here we go. Chris Mortensen says Dan Marino is having second thoughts about leaving broadcasting to join the Dolphins as president. What should he do?
Well, first of all, Marino is saying this is not true. I mean, he's denying this. But let's just go back to whether he should or shouldn't. You know, I'm for guys when they're like Dan Marino, rich, handsome, famous, accomplished. He's got this great gig. He can actually, should he want to, spend time with his family, play golf, not sit in an office and have all this stress and pressure. Stay on TV, Dan.
That's what you think. You stay on TV. Where he's okay, but he's not exactly Woody Allen.
He's better and better all the time.
Well, I think one of the reasons he would not take the job if that happens is that everybody has already insulted the job and said, look, you can't pick players, you can't fire coaches. They've called him a figurehead. He's had to talk about being a figurehead.
Stay on TV.
Don't you think that bothers him?
What do you need that for?
No, he should stay on TV.
One.
He should stay on TV.
Okay, I'm glad you agree with me on this one. Did you happen to catch the Lingerie Bowl?
No.
Unfortunately, I did, and found it both oddly brutal and pretty dumb.
Why would you pay money for the Lingerie Bowl when you could have Janet Jackson in the non-Lingerie Bowl?
That's just
makes no sense.
People don't run a sweep much anymore in the NFL. Just saw that sweep
like Taylor
up the alley, just like Lombardi
I would never have done this. However, I did not, and I'll say this again.
What?
I didn't think that the halftime was aimed at me. Nelly was going around, little crotch grabbing by Nelly. You know, P. Diddy.
Did you think Nelly was going to turn into what a monk?
At least Kid Rock. No excuses for Kid Rock, but he sang. The others just lip sing.
He hollers. Singing is a little much.
But why don't they actually sing? She was very good. She's your girl, right? She was very good. Time for a break. Don't go anywhere because we still got to talk about the liquored up kicker, Shaq's foul mouth, and the controversy that could paralyze the Kerry campaign. Botox or no tox?
Beyonce is Jay-Z's girl. I saw both of them yesterday.
She's saying a good
I
answer.
don't care about seeing Jay-Z.
Good answer.
Like seeing...
Pardon the interruption. Presented by Guinness Draft Stout. Drink responsibly. Brilliant. And in part by Monster. Will today be the day they say you are hired? Monster. Today's the day.
Happy time, people. Happy 50th birthday to Christy Brinkley.
50?
Still getting it
50?
done. Many years removed from being Billy Joel's Uptown Girl, Brinkley now working on husband number 4, an architect. When you hear the term supermodel, she's near the top of the list, right?
I think it's Cheryl Teagues, Iman, and Christy Brinkley. First in my mind. 50?
That's the first
That means
team,
she was
baby.
in the SI swimsuit issue like 25 years ago?
First team. Happy anniversary, Peyton Manning. On this day last year, you called Mike Vanderjagt an idiot, liquored-up kicker during an interview on the sideline of the Pro Bowl. Well, it worked out pretty well for both of them, didn't it? Liquored-up kicker, 37-37 this year. Manning had his best season as a pro. Won 2 playoff games, co-MVP of the NFL.
So who's going to stir it up for them this year? I think that helped them. I really do.
Happy trails to the wrinkles on John Kerry's forehead. Howard Dean is hinting that you may have had Botox injections to make you appear younger. Kerry denies any knowledge of Botox, which, as it turns out, is a live paramecium injected into your skin to paralyze the muscles and prevent wrinkles. I'd do it. Would you, Wilbon?
Howard Dean is a live paramecium. And what do you think else been doing in Houston all week, huh?
Time to find out what we messed up, Stat Boy.
More on Breastgate. Head of FCC wants to launch an investigation. Could be a monetary fine. NFL says unlikely MTV will ever produce a halftime again.
The NFL's getting a lot of mileage
Running
out
out
of
of show, we go to the big finish.
Let's do
Art
it.
Monk missed the Hall of Fame again. You spoke on his behalf. What happened?
It was a vote against me, apparently. Pudge Rodriguez signed with the Tigers. Will they lose 100 games again next year?
No, they've done it twice in a row. Not again.
Okay.
Shaq was suspended 1 game for cursing the refs on TV during yesterday's game. Is that fair?
I thought a fine. I didn't know about a suspension. The Rockets suspended Steve Francis 1 game for missing a team flight. Your thoughts?
You can't miss the team flights.
No, you
got to
can't.
have a great excuse.
Inexcusable.
The groundhog saw his shadow. What does it mean? Break it down.
We're going to freeze our butts off, apparently, for 6 more weeks.
We're out of time. Try and do better the next time. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
And I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow. Sports Center is next. Gary Barnett answers questions about Colorado football and sex parties.
PTI. Cialis. PTI. Cialis.